And good morning and afternoon. All right, we're going to have hopefully a fun class for you today. I've got some pretty cool stuff planned for you, and I hope I can get through it all in a short time because I think you'll benefit from what I'm going to teach today. I'm going to take a little kind of a different approach than what we normally do, but I'm going to open up with a song for you. Before I hit record, you'll notice I was going through some of the buttons. All I was doing is picking a style and then figuring out what sounds I wanted to use. So I got an idea, feel for the road. It's going to be part of the class today, by the way. So for this style here, the opening song I'm going to play, I'm using a style called big band jazz, okay? And it's found on, if you pick your style category, it's found on the jazz button, page 1, and at the bottom left it says Big Band Jazz at 200. Okay? And I'm going to use some of the one-touch settings in here, but when I'm done playing, I'm going to kind of tell you, I use one-touch setting here and here, and then I'll tell you what I did with the main variations. Okay? So here we go. 3, 2, 1, action! I was like, okay, what's that chord I wanted to play? Give me a second. All right. So I played a song called Sing, Sing, Sing. Some of you may be familiar with it. You know the style that I use because I told you. But what I do a lot of times, what I want to play, I'm going to do that for a few songs today. I'm going to kind of tell you what I'm using. And I did that recently. I posted, and in the past, I posted a sheet that I said, here's some of the songs that I normally play, and I went through and kind of chose some of the sounds and the styles and what have you. And all I did is I gave you a starting point. Well, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to pick 2 or 3 of them. I just did one, and I'm going to kind of show you, well, what goes through my head when I'm doing this. If Marco was doing this, he'd have a different idea. If Dawn was doing it, she'd have a different idea. But I use a lot of times we use what's already there in the instrument as our tool. Now, sometimes we go a step further and we start choosing our own sounds, and that's fine. But I'm going to keep it really simple today. And you notice when I was playing, I didn't really get really fancy in the chords. I want to show it as if someone's a hobby player just playing with their 2, 3-finger chords and playing a melody and using what's built in. So Sing, 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 I used the big band jazz, which was found on the jazz button that I showed you, page 1. And it comes up at 200, which is fine. I like that tempo. And before I played, I went through the one-touch settings. There was a piano in there. I could have used that when I was thinking about it, but I didn't. Number 2 has sax Looks like a sax ensemble or what have you. Let's see. And number 3 was kind of a big brass sound. And number 4 was nice, just simple solo clarinet. So when I was playing the song, I kind of in my head thought, as I play the song, I think I'll start off kind of simple. You know, a lot of songs, if you use easy play, even if it's not easy play, a lot of songs, they have verse 1, verse 2, a chorus or a bridge, verse 3, verse 4, and a lot of times the verses are very similar in nature as far as the melody is concerned. What changes is if you're listening to a song that's sung as an example, what changes is the lyrics of the song. So in a song like that, I started off with big band jazz, and then over here, your main variations, we'll see if you can do this here. I have to change cameras here. What do I have to do here? Steve, if you can spotlight Robert's camera. There we go. So I'll refer to this a few times. I'll refer to this a few times. I'm not going to bring the camera over all the time. So when I refer to main variation A, B, C, and D, and your intro 1, 2, and 3, and then of course the ending 1, 2, 3, I'm going to be referring to this panel. So make note, because this makes a difference in when you're playing your songs. Okay? So what I did for the beginning of the song, I just started off with an intro 2. I liked intro 2 because when I did a minor chord introduction, whoops, intro 2, now if you listen to it, main variation A is kind of simple. Main variation, come fix it up a little bit. It gets fancier as we go. Okay? So essentially, what I did is I started off with main variation A and a clarinet, keeping it simple. Again, this is built into the instrument, okay? And I played a little bit, and then when I repeated the verse, I kind of just did a fill. Now you can do a couple things on this. There's a break button. If you're on the main variation A, you could just push the main variation A again. So, watch. Here's the break. Okay? Watch what happens when I push main variation A. Again, it's on there. So that's all I did. I kind of kept it simple. And then when I got to the part of the song, I just picked one of my other one-touch settings. I went to number 2 on this style because it wasn't a big, totally super big sound. It was a nice sax ensemble. But then I switched to main variation B. It picked up a little bit. And then when I kind of came back to the song, the verse, I might have stayed on B or A. And then as I wanted to get fancier, I pushed C or D. So here's kind of a little recap lesson on what I've done in the past. When you're finding these settings that you like, so I started off with main variation A, intro 2, and I started off with a clarinet. All right, yeah, okay, I like that. Let me just do something real quick here. I was fooling around with some of Marco's settings that he sent me, and he has some things that are a little different from my taste. So let's see here. Let me go to this real quick. Oh, here we go. He gave me one of his settings for a song that I asked about, and he has it on fingered, meaning you have to play 3 fingers all the time. And I don't like to play 3 fingers all the time. Anyway, so I have that set up, and I'm going to save that. Instead of having to change the one-touch setting and the main variations as you're playing the song, if you have a setting you like, just push memory 1, and boom, you're done. And then you go to the next setup. Maybe I want to put main variation B, memory 2. Maybe on the third setting, I start off with one-touch setting 2 with main variation C. Okay, well, maybe I'll save that on number 3. And then maybe for the finale, I'll do one-touch setting 3, which is a big sound, main variation D, which is big. Okay, and I'll leave that, and then I'll save it. So now, when I'm playing, instead of me going back and forth all the time, all I have to do is 1, 2, 3, and 4. But the recap is I use big band jazz, which came up at a tempo of 200. That can be found on the jazz button, page 1. And I use my one-touch settings 2, 3, and 4. 4 is the clarinet. 2 is the sax ensemble, and 3 is that really nice big brass section. And I just chose what order I wanted to play it in as I played it. Okay? So I'm going to do another song. Here's a song that I did, featured a couple years ago, about a year, 3-4 months ago. Many people aren't familiar with this song, but it's a very, very pretty song. And, oh, let's see. I'll need the music for this. If you're not familiar with it, hopefully you'll like the melody. And you'll go out and learn it. It's a very pretty song. Let me find it. I have to remember where I put it. The song is called Remember Me. And it's from a movie, an animated movie, a Disney, from a movie called Coco. And the lyrics are just absolutely heart-touching. And I did this as a dedication, a tribute to my daughter. And the words go, remember me, though I have to say goodbye, remember me. Don't let it make you cry, for even if I'm far away, hold you in my heart. I sing a secret song to you each night we are apart. Remember me. Though I have traveled far, remember me. Each time you hear a sad guitar, know that I am with you the only way that I can be. Until you're in my arms again, remember me. It's a beautiful, beautiful, and the melody is just absolutely gorgeous. I taught this in one of my Song of the Month classes, and I did put that as one of the setups. So that what I have here, and I'll just kind of point you in the direction as I'm doing it. Whoops, wrong button. You ever push the wrong button on the computer? No, not you. All right, let's see, that camera. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick my rhythm category. I'm going to go to the Latin category. And what I suggested, if you have this, was go to page 3, and then I picked Pop Latin Ballad. Okay? So pretty simple, nothing fancy. And then my go-to was, let me see what the instrument sets up for me. Okay, so I just started with one-touch setting 1, and then I put on main variation A. And before I play a song and start playing it, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll hear the intros. Now, 1 is a very short introduction, very, I hate to use the words generic, but intentionally generic. And 2 or 3 are a little bit more fancies. So what I'll do is I'll just listen to number 2, and then sometimes number 3. That's pretty. So if I decide to use an intro, I've kind of decided in my head I'd use 3. Now, coincidentally, in this song, I don't use an intro, but I listen to it first. But I will use an ending. And so I'm going to go put number 2 on and listen to it. It's a pretty style. Play songs like Spanish Eyes and Lady of Spain. But here's the ending too. It's kind of a jazzy feel to it. Now I'm going to do the same thing and listen to number 3. So I've already decided when I play this song, I'm going to start off with 1 touch, setting 1. Well, let's see. I like that. 2, some pretty strings. 3's got a real nice piano, but I don't think I'm going to use that for this song. And number 4 has got a brass sound. So I'm going to stick to 2 setups here. I've got Pop Latin Ballad 95. I'm going to use 1 touch, setting 1, and number 2. I don't know where I'm going to use it yet, but you'll know when it happens. And instead of using the intro, I'm going to just start playing the song. And the other thing I like to do sometimes is while it's playing, just kind of listen to the background. That's main variation B. You can tell they're not much different, but it's a little subtle in the change. Number 3, A, main variation C. Just a little bit, and D. So this style here is kind of interesting because I'm glad they did it this way. As I use the main variation buttons, the change in the way the arrangement, it just gets gradual, just a little bit at a time. So I think what I'm going to do is start off with main variation A. And when I get to the second page, I'll go to main variation B. And then at some point, I'll push C and then D. We'll see what happens. Focus. I don't play this song very often, so I have to put my blinders on here. All right. Okay, that's where I'm going to start. Here we go. Such a pretty, pretty song. And that one's a really tricky one for me to play. And it may be for some of you. But the words are absolutely gorgeous and very fitting. But all I did is I used one touch setting 1 and 2. And I went from main variation A and B. And then as I got to the second part of that song, I kind of switched to C and D, a little bit fuller of a sound. Last one I'm going to feature, and then I'm going to switch gears a little bit and kind of share a little trick with some of the presets that are built into these. I'm going to play. I need the music for this one too. I think I played a little bit last week with a different style and without the music, so I kind of goofed it up a little bit. And I don't know if you ever heard of a group. They were they were a band. They were pretty popular maybe back in the, I think, 60s. I don't know if you heard of them, called the Beatles. You ever heard of the Beatles? I see the looks out there. Well, obviously one of their many hit songs was Hey Jude. And I picked the style that I thought would work last week, and it did. I thought it was pretty cool. But I was looking at my notes, I went, oh, I remember I picked this style. And the style that I chose was, let's see here. If you have the handout, you probably know. Let's see. I went to Oldies, page 5. And you'll see there's one there called 60s Big Hit. Okay? That's what I'm using. Hopefully you'll like it. And then I'm going to do what I did. So I've got one touch setting on. Okay, that's kind of nice. Let me just hear the intro. Actually, the way the song is, there is no introduction. Let me see. I'm going to listen to the endings on this. That's number 2. Let's see what happens when I put number 3. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with 3 if I decide to use the ending, all right? And then I'm going to go through the usuals. I'm going to go through my one touch. I like the piano, organ. I'm not sure if I'll use an organ. It's got some strings in there. Actually, I kind of like the guitar. I guess because I'm a guitar player. All right? Now, here's one little thing that I'm going to do. When I have the piano sound on, which one touch setting 1 does. Now, some of you have the sustain pedal, which can come in handy if you use it. But you're going to see me reaching up from time to time over here. It's because it has the sustain button. I don't have a sustain pedal. The trick is, if you do it manually like this, you're going to have to remember to turn it off. Because if I have a piano on, okay, that's nice. But if I go to the guitar sound, the sustain stays in and it doesn't kind of fit. So again, this goes back to, if you're making changes on setups, get in the habit of saving them. If you don't do it often, go back and review we've done a few classes on that, okay? The other thing that I think I'm going to do is, I'm looking in here and I've got a, let me see what else I got here. It says a steel acoustic pick. I might switch to that. I don't know. Let's see. I'm not going to switch to a harmonica. Let's see what's on one touch setting 2. Let me just play a part of the song. that's okay, but I have a saxophone in here. Let's see. See? So now I've already figured out what I want to do. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put on the 60s big hit, one touch setting 1 with a sustain. I'll start off with my main variation A. When you see me reach over, I'm going to probably go to B. Okay? And then, at some point, when you see me switch to one touch setting 2, see, I'm already saying to myself, this is a lot of work for me. I should probably save these in a preset. So that's what I'm going to do. So that's the setting I like with the sustain. I'm going to hit memory 1. The second setup, I have an acoustic guitar. If I want to keep it in there, I can always switch. The second part, I'm going to go to main variation B. I want that saxophone. So that's what I did. I put one touch setting 2, and I switched from it was right 1 to right 2, which gave me the saxophone. I made sure the sustain was off. I main variation B on. I'm going to push memory 2. I'm going to make that my second setup. Okay? Then, what a part of the song. I'll do that on the second page. And then I think I have to repeat a little bit, so I'll just kind of go back to the setup. And then at some point, I think I'm going to go to main variation C. And I'll save that with a saxophone too, just in case. Memorize 3. And then at the very end, I think I'm tempted to. I'm going to do that with the D, and I'm going to just put that on memory 4. And I don't know if this is going to be the right order. I'm doing this on the fly. So now when I play, all I have to do is push my presets 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's see how this sounds. Okay, well, there you have it. I was reading my notes and I have an ending that Don put together, hand wrote the ending out, and I just remembered, oh, I'm supposed to jump to the last page. I forgot I was playing the song. So anyway, a little goof up there, who cares, right? So there's just some quick setups for songs. And the point what I'm trying to accomplish here is kind of let you in on how a lot of us think when we're putting these together, sometimes just using what's already built in. You'll notice on this song, however, when I went to one of the one-touch settings, it put on the organ, and I just looked in the screen and saw the saxophone, and I chose it. But the trick is this: if you're playing along, you can very easily make a note, the rhythm, the tempo, one-touch setting 1 with main variation A, and that's fine. Maybe you put OTS 1, MA, just little cues and hints for you. And then just kind of set it up in certain parts of the song and then change it as you go. To me, if you get in the habit of memorizing them to the presets, then when you're ready, all you have to do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and push the next button. Makes it a lot easier. Okay? So those were just a few songs that I wanted to share and how doing some of the setups. The other thing I want to share is a lot of you have built into these presets, particularly done by Marco Mendez. Okay? And what I want to do is give you a few examples of how you could use these for multiple songs. Okay? So for example, what I'm going to do is switch to the screen here. Okay. So this is your home screen. Now on the GENOS2, we have, as you know, right next to preset 1 here, there's 2 buttons. It says registration bank, and there's a minus and a plus. And then underneath it, it says select with 2 buttons. So if you press the 2 buttons, when you press the 2 buttons, that home screen switches to this. Okay, so there it is off. All right. Now, depending on where you're at in your screen, if you're new to it and you're just seeing it for the first time, you're going to see this come up. Now, there's some extra stuff on here, by the way. So if you have the Fletcher edition, you're not going to see Richard on yours. I'll explain that in a minute. And you may not see Robert. Uh-oh, I hit my, what did I do? Oh, I turned off my keyboard. I stepped on the plug. Okay, turn back on. All right. Let me pull that back up. So what it was is I met someone here in Tucson that has a GENOS product, actually the GENOS1, and he came and inquired about the 2, and he wanted to share some presets that he had done. And so what I did, so he just copied it, and I put it into a folder, and it just has a bunch of various presets and things. And he was like, what do you think of this? Does this sound okay, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what that is. So you won't see Richard on yours, okay? And you won't see Robert. Robert just has some stuff that I've been miscellaneously putting in here from the classes that we've been teaching as an example. But what you will see on yours is famous people, GENOS class, Marco Mendez class presets, playlist for GENOS2. You'll see these 2 here and those as well. All right, if you have the Fletcher edition, and if you have just the stock model, you may not see a lot of those. But if you have presets, I'm going to choose famous people as an example. Okay, so I touch it there, and let me go to the first page here. So you'll see the right in the beginning there. They're in alphabetical order. I'm gonna Chet Atkins. All right. So I'm gonna select Chet Atkins. And what happened, oh, and by the way, as a reminder, because I made some presets in here, it's basically saying, hey, before you go on, do you want to save what you put in there? You know, I'm going to say don't save because I kind of remember what I did. Okay, and then it'll proceed. It's just warning you, you don't want to lose anything. All right, and so now the presets are loaded from 1 through 10 here, are loaded with setups wrapped around Chet Atkins. Now, it may not be 10, it may be 8, maybe 9, okay? And I can tell because the 8 buttons are lit. And as I go through these, I'll just push one of the buttons. And what Marco did is he put these fabulous settings wrapped around Chet Atkins, okay? So let me just look at one other thing. I want to see what else he did. Yes, he did that turkey. I'm going to load it in again because this is going to be part of the class. Okay. Perfect. All right. Wanted to make sure I'm giving good information. All right. So I'm going to go back to number 1. All right. And I'm just going to play a little something here. Let's put on an intro. And so for this group of sounds, for these group of sounds, he's got the 70s country folk pop. But if you load these presets, it's going to load it automatically. And he's got 8 great setups. Now, if, just a reminder, if you want to know what sounds you have, I've done this a couple of times, and I just failed to tell you, but if you want to know what sounds you have in there, if you push the registration bank minus and plus, up at the top right corner, if you hit menu and registration bank info, you'll see that these are all the sounds that he has. You'll see in the screen there. As I go through them, he's got in the left hand and what type of sound he has there: clean, solid, harmonica, grand piano, etc., etc. Okay? So you can see what sounds are there before you press them. All right? So I'm just going to go through a few of these here and play something. Let's see. How about we do... Oops. How about we do... Ooh, I like that. I'm going to do intro 3 here. Let's see. That's good stuff there. I like that. All right. So here's kind of where I was going to make a point. I called him a turkey, didn't I? Or he is a turkey. Because a lot of times when Marcos puts setups, or I do, sometimes I forget to do it, we tend to play in the style that's good for us. Now, the way he set these presets up is not for exciting. Well, let me back up. Doesn't work for me at 100%, and I'll tell you why. When I play a lot of chords with 3-finger, your typical F, C, and occasionally I do some chords with 2 fingers. There's just a few chords out there that, this one I need 2 fingers, or what have you, okay? So when he set it up, and I looked at it, on your screen here, you're going to see, and you can tell on the presets or not, but you may notice on the screen here, the bottom, you'll see it says split and fingering. And I touch that. He has it set up on fingered, meaning you have to play the 3-finger chord, which I don't want to do every time. Okay? You can change that. You know, just touch it, and I go to AI fingered. Okay? So it's a little bit more of the easier play system. All right, so I can do that. But I'm going to take this a step further. Okay? I like these sounds that I'm hearing. As I was going through them, I was really enjoying the sounds here. And what I want to do is take the sounds that are programmed in the keyboard right now, and I want to try it with a different country rhythm. The minute I touch a country rhythm, if I push a preset, it's going to revert back to the presets that are there, which is the way it's designed to do. But I'm going to work around the system. So here's what I'm going to do. On the keyboard, I know we mentioned this button many times, so I'm going to say it again. On the GENOS2, you have 1 through 10. You have your registration minus here, plus and minus. And right next to it, there's a button that says freeze. Okay? And freeze does a lot of things. And you can choose what you want it to freeze. Now, I have it set up already, so if I push freeze, I know what it's going to do. But if you want to see what it's going to do or how you want it, you push the direct access button, direct access, and then press the freeze button. Okay? So when I do that, I'm going to push direct access now, and you're seeing it. You get this little message. And now I'm going to push the button that says freeze, and here's what comes up. So right now, when I use the freeze option, the only thing that's not going to change is anything that's transposed, tempo, the music style. If I want, I can change the assignable, I can freeze the assignable buttons, I can freeze anything that I want. Here's what I want to freeze. I want to make sure the tempo stays where it's at. I like the transpose, I want to keep that where it's at, and the style. Okay? Style, many of you refer to it as the rhythm style, music style, basically the rhythm, country, big band, okay? Okay, so I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to exit the screen. So now I'm going to push my freeze button. That's activated now. And now here's what I'm going to do. So right now we have the presets that Marco programmed for Chet Atkins, which uses that rhythm that I mentioned. It's not on the screen now. Let's see. Which normally use 70s country pop, okay? So what I'm going to do now, because I have the freeze button on, I'm going to push and pick a different rhythm altogether. So let me see. Let me find something. You can keep it at the tempo that, now see, it says 110, but if you notice, he actually has it at 160. Or does he? Let's see. Yeah, at 160. Okay? So I'm going to keep it at that tempo. Now let me go. I froze it. Let me go to the country. Let me find something. Let me just see here. All right, here's one. Now you see it says country swing. Now if you could see it on the screen there, you'll see it says 105. So normally when you select country, it puts that at a default tempo of 105, which is nice. But I want to keep it in the same tempo that I'm using. I want to use his sounds. I'm just going to push country swing. And now let's see what happens. Let me bring back to the home screen. It says country swing. Let's see if did I not freeze the tempo? Oops. No, No, I didn't like that. I want to freeze the tempo. Gosh darn it. Freeze. All right, so let me put his presets back in. Chet Atkins. Now I have it frozen, so it's at 105. Chet Atkins. Okay, at 160. I'm going to freeze the tempo. Okay, freeze the style. Oh, I got to choose the style. So watch what happens now. I'm going to put on the new style. Okay, so I'm on country swing now. Okay. I have his presets here. And I'm going to go 1 through 8 and just play the same thing or play a different song and see what happens. So basically all I'm doing is I'm using the presets that he programmed. I changed the style that I wanted to use, and then I hit the freeze button. So I use those same sound combinations with a different style. Now if right now it's on country swing. Okay. Again, the rhythm's not changing. Watch what happens when I press the freeze button off. Now I'm going to change the preset. It went to the other rhythm because now the freeze button is on. We'll do 2 more. One I'll do, and then I'll close off with a final number. Here's another one that I fell in love with. And it's, if you go to the registration bank again, and you go to the last page, and this again is under the famous people. You go to last page, Zamfir. All right. And he's got 8 settings here for that. And let's just put it on and see what it says. So the rhythm style that comes up is Angel Sun. And let's put on an intro and let's see what we get here. Now I know what song he usually plays with Zamfir, so I'm going to play something totally different. Well, that's kind of interesting. I feel like going in a dark room, closing my eyes and meditating. Shouldn't change it because I really like how that works for that, but this is a class I have to show if you change it. All right. So that was pretty. I almost forgot you guys were here. I was kind of in my lone little world here. Isn't music wonderful? All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you on the screen what I did. So as I reached up, obviously, I went to the registration bank button. And then I hit the menu, and I know I'm repeating myself, and I hit registration bank info. So I kind of had an idea what sounds I was going to get when I get it. If you press style, it shows you the style, what tempo he has it at, etc. So here's what I want to do. I want to take that style that's really gorgeous. It's called Angel Sun. And this is what's loaded in when you press Zamfir, okay? You can play Somewhere Over the Rainbow with that. You can play Unchained Melody, works for that. Karen, I know you're listening. Oh, God, that's such a gorgeous style. All right, I digress. So now I'm going to go back to the home. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put, you can't see me doing it. You're just going to have to trust that I'm doing it. Trust me. Okay, I push the freeze button. And then what I'm going to do is pick another style. All right, we'll get it going here. We'll leave it going. And what I'm going to do is just find something else. Let's see. So you can see I pushed movie and shows. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try this ethereal movie. And while I'm playing, I'm going to switch to 80s music ballad. But what I'm going to do is continue using the presets that he provided. Okay? That makes sense? So I'm going to use the sounds that he has, but I have the freeze button on. I'll start off with Angel Sun. Okay? And then as I'm playing, I'm just going to reach up and hit Ethereal Movie. And then I'll hit another few presets, but the style will remain. And then I'll go to 80s musical ballad. And hopefully those will work for this song. So let's try it with the intro. I did intro 2. Let me try number 3 this time. very pretty things there. So while I was playing, I pulled up the rhythm style. If you saw me poking around, what I did is I pushed the registration bank minus, plus, and minus. I pulled up that menu, registration bank info, so I could see what sounds were programmed. There was a pan flute, alto flutes, orchestral flute, orchestral clarinet, classical flute, etc. And then I went to my rhythm category, okay? And as I was playing, I just switched to the rhythm and continue using the presets that I pulled from the instrument, okay? So there's a lot of things you could do when we programs a lot of these presets. A lot of times we have rhythms programmed with it, but maybe you like what it's programmed for, but maybe you want to use it with something else. And so it gives you an option, an opportunity to use it for other things. Okay, I'll do one more here. I opened up with a big band. I'll finish with a big band. Actually, there was one other thing that I wanted to check here. I wanted to tell you this, and I forgot to do it earlier. I'm going to go back to Hey Jude. So did anybody write down what the name of the rhythm was that I used for Hey Jude? I think it was an oldies, right?
Oldies, 80 big hit.
80 big hit or 60s big?
60s big hit.
Okay. What page? Did I tell you the page?
Page 5.
Page 5. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to do this. There was one other little thing that I might want to tell you that was kind of cool. I discovered it earlier and I forgot to use it. So when you pick that style, you're going to notice in the screen, it says, you know, the name of the rhythm and the tempo, and I use my one-touch settings there, okay? And then I ended up with number 4. If you remember, I used that guitar. All right? But if you look at the bottom right corner there, it says Multipad. It says Pop Ooh. And I wanted to do this, and I forgot to do it. And what that does is at any time you're playing, and we reference these things, this Multipad, if you use those while you're playing, you're going to get just what that says, ooh, okay? There's 4 of them. There's 2, there's number 3. It's all very slightly different, and here's number 4. So what you could do if you decide to play the song, at the end I was doing what's that blasted chord? E flat. There it is. That blasted E flat. I hate that E flat. Anyway, all right, so while you're playing, and it's not going to overpower the rhythm, by the way. But if you put on your multipads, you can have some fun with that. It can really build it up to that. So it's something like this. Bring in the ooh, subtle. It's a long ending too, by the way, right? So you can just build it up. I'll bring them all in. That's fun. Because if you ever listen to that ending, boy, they just drag it out, drag it out, drag it out, and they do ooh, do, 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 and all that stuff. So you can have some fun with that where if you're going to play it over and over, at least build up to that. All right, back to the end here. I'm going to play one more from this group. Switch, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to pick a different rhythm style, but let's start with what he gave us, okay? So I'm going to push registration bank minus and plus. I'm going to go back to I'm in the category already, but if I'm in this user, famous people, I'm going to find one called Frank Sinatra. And I touch it. All right. So now I have presets designed that's perfect for Frank Sinatra music, right? Let's see. Number 1. Yeah, that's kind of nice. It comes up with a style called cool piano jazz. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Let me see what kind of sounds he has in here. Let's see. It looks like he's got pianos. He's got... Whoops. Here, I pushed... Oh, you know what? I accidentally pushed Ethel Smith. It's like, that changed. Okay. Here we go. So we got piano, fitting, vibes, clarinet, vibraphone, organ, jazz trumpet, flute, and a jazz sax. They're all great sounds for this style of music, okay? But what I want to do is take this style, cool piano jazz, and I'm going to pick something else. But first I'm going to freeze. Okay. I'm going to put my AI finger in here, freeze it, and let me pick another rhythm here. Let's see. Okay, so right now, this is the style that we have. And I think I'm just going to switch to big band jazz since I'm on that page, okay? All right, and that's what I'm going to end up with. So I'm going to use the big band jazz using his presets for Frank Sinatra. But again, remember, the key to this is once you load the presets, if you want to make some changes and continue using the presets to sound, just push the freeze button. Let's see what happens. We'll close off today with, I don't know what I'm going to play yet. It'll come to me after the introduction. Hopefully it's, maybe I'll do what I just started playing. But here we go. Now, before I do this, keep in mind that if he made any changes in the presets that change the main variations, as you're changing the presets, the variations won't change, so you will want to do that manually. So if you see me coming over here, it's because I want the band to get a little fancy or not so fancy or et cetera, et cetera. So here we go. I'm going to pull up the information. So I see what I have before I get there. To number 2, which gives me the jazz vibes. Wow. Main variation C. Let me try a different sound here. Let's go. I'll just go in order. had a little extra fun there. Well, I hope you had fun today. I hope you learned something. Hope you got some ideas, or at least you got one thing out of the class today. So I wanted to play a lot of music and kind of share a lot of settings. Because let's face it, when you're playing the instrument, first thing you want to do is play a song. So I want to kind of enlighten you on some of the different approaches that we take using what's already there, whether it's built into the original stock GENOS2 or additional setups that we've put in it and what have you, okay? So with that said, just another little thing. If you are not on our emailing list, go to our website and sign up. It's at the very top of the website. We both send out notices, and sometimes I don't tell them, by the way, I'm not having a class on a Thursday. So I had about 7 or 8 texts and about 7 or 8 emails and some phone calls, and so I thought everybody got my notice that the class was today. So register for the on our emailing list, because I usually every week put out notices of what's happening that week, and that way you'll stay on top of it. Next week we're not going to have a class. We've got other events going on online. That's going to take up all of Wednesday and Thursday. Carrie is doing a love, what is he calling it? He is calling it, it's a 2-day event that he is calling Music Lovers Extravaganza. And he's doing it at his store, but he said he had a few students that don't live by, and he was going to broadcast it. And I thought, well, why just broadcast it to a few? So it's going to be an all day. You can come in and go, look at the schedule, see what you're going to be interested in. And then on Friday, I'm going to be doing, I do it about once a year. So if you've forgotten what I've taught, you can be reminded. The class is called Learn How to Memorize a Song. So next Friday at 11 o'clock Arizona, so that's 10 Pacific, 12 o'clock Eastern, I'm going to go through the class on how to memorize a song. Okay, so we have a lot of fun with that, and then I'll play a little mini concert to follow. All right, so if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. If you don't know how to get a hold of me, go to our website, and there's a contact us thing, register, and what have you. So thank you so much, and hope you enjoyed the class today and the concert. Anyway, stay safe, keep playing music every day, everybody, and see you real soon.